I guess another big question that's been asked is the legality of everything that he's doing, everything that you funded. I know you funded Mckamey Manor from the start. You never got paid back. I do want that to be addressed if you're able to do that.
Well, yeah, most of my money went into the haunt, and not just the haunt, went into paying the house and paying everything, paying all the bills and everything. Russ didn't work for the last 3 years that we were together. I don't know, it's just super frustrating because he calls me the thief and he calls me all this stuff, but I was supporting him while he was home fooling around. So when I left and I took props, I felt I deserved to do that because I had paid for a lot of stuff. And I can't stand him. He took $100,000 from me on the promise that he would pay it back, and he's never done it. When I asked for it, I wanted to leave before I did because I couldn't handle all the things that he was doing on Skyping and with all the women, and I mean, such inappropriate stuff. And I would ask for my money so that I could leave, and he would just say, prove it, prove that you gave the money. And he always says that I held him hostage, but he was holding me hostage because he had all of my money and all of his money, and I was trapped like a rat in his little maze. So his little game, his little torture game, mentally abusing me daily. I don't know if you want to talk about Holly's video and the things that she had to say. She is 100% factual on everything. The only thing that I can say that I don't know anything about is abusing his son. I don't think that happened. He was abused in the house, but not by Russ, but by a roommate. So she said that she had pictures of the child, of his son, and I don't know how that's possible because I have all of Russ's pictures. I have everything stored in I don't know where she possibly could have found those because he didn't have anything like that when I left. I took it all, so.
I definitely was going to ask you about the Holly video. I know some other stuff that was brought up to me that you might know about was his actual Navy background.
Yeah. You mean like the MK Ultra and all of that? That he's like got top secret clearance and all that stuff. Russ was a bosun's mate. He's like the guy who blew the whistle on the ship, and then he got out of the Navy. He was in for 22 years. He got out of the Navy, and when he got back in, then he was like the guy who would go around and recruit guys to sign up again for like another 4 years. So that's it. No, he doesn't know anything about MK Ultra. He doesn't know anything about hypnosis. He doesn't know anything. Zero. Nothing. So
that's good stuff. So all this stuff about him saying that he started Mckamey Manor on a Navy ship, and all this stuff about him injecting people with all this stuff. Is there any truth to that whatsoever?
When he was on the ship, when he was recruiting people to come back into the Navy, he actually did have like a small office, and he did like he decorated his office for Halloween, had a little tiny haunt. But, what can you do in a little tiny office? But As far as injecting anybody or all of that stuff, he basically, the drugs that he used were Tic Tacs. He'd make you take Tic Tacs. And there's no injecting, there's no teeth pulling, the pliers are plastic, the drill bit is rubber or whatever it is. It's on a real drill, but it's, foam or whatever it is. There's nothing going on. The only thing that you see that actually does happen is the hair cutting. But the other stuff is just all pure bullshit.
So is the needle that he's used in numerous videos, is it truly a retractable needle, or is he just injecting people with like saline?
It's retractable. It's not. It's not.
Every time you stop talking, like the lag comes through and it's messing me up so bad. I'm trying not to talk over you.
I just keep getting all of these silly little screens that pop up.
Oh gosh. So I guess before this audio thing gets any worse. So how much money did you really invest into Russ's situation, fantasies, whatever you want to call it? How much money does he owe you? Have you got $1 back?
No,
ever?
He paid me a dime. He owes me. I paid off his second mortgage for him, which was $100,000, on the promise that he would pay me back. I've never seen a dime of it. He sold that house. I lived there 15 years. I made mortgage payments. I paid his lawyer bills. I paid his credit card bills. And he's never offered to pay me a cent. I don't have it. He has all of my money. I have no savings or anything. Before he got fired, we had talked about putting all of the 401k money into his account because it was a better option than my account where I was working. And so my money went to the bills. A good chunk of his money went into his 401k. When I left, he had over $400,000 in his 401k, and I have zero. So, and then, in all honesty, for paying bills for 15 years or helping him pay bills, I feel I was entitled to half of the proceeds of the sale, but I got none of that either. So I got nothing from him. So,
okay, so staying on the money conversation, this is obviously a hot topic. Me and you have talked about this before. Let's talk about the 20 G's for a second.
That's fake. I've had so many people tell me that they saw him buying that money at Trans World. So
he actually bought that money at Trans World.
That's what I've been told. Yes.
So even back in San Diego, when those people were running that crazy van situation, there was no chance in fuck ever getting a single cent out of Russ Mckamey.
Never. You can't win because, if he wants you to go an hour or 20 hours, if you think you've got it beat, you don't, because he'll just keep adding on to it and adding on to it. You have no chance in hell of ever beating the hot, ever.
Okay. So your personal opinion, why does he do this shit that he does? Who is Russ Mckamey in real life?
He is not the same person that I used to know. I've known him since 1977. And, when I first started going out with him and moved in with him, he was a really nice guy, and things just slowly started to change. Just like Holly said, he would have these dreams about young boys, young girls, and he would wake me up and say, please tell me it doesn't mean anything. And just, it's exhausting. Every day. It was more than you can handle. And I just kept looking for a way out. There's no way out from crazy. When you don't have any money and you need to leave, how do you do it when you don't have money? I had 9 dogs. How am I going to do it? If it hadn't been for Angel, I could never have gotten away.
And this is something I want to say. I should say this to you in private, but I know you and Angel have y'all's differences from whenever you were moving, what happened, what actually happened. But everybody is actually working together right now. And that's why the things that are happening are happening. But is there anything that you want to set the record straight on with you moving from San Diego to where you are now? I'm not going to put that out there.
I should have gone way sooner. It's the peace of mind and the peace and quiet, and I mean the crazy ass women that would call our house, and nude photos and constant Skyping 24 hours a day, and it didn't matter if they were 17 or 70. He didn't care. So I am so glad to be away from that. His insanity, it just made no sense. It makes no sense to anyone. I don't know how he could think that it was okay, and he keeps saying that he wasn't in a relationship with me. And I mean, what pure bullshit is that? I mean, I don't pay the bills for somebody because I'm not involved with him for 3 years. I mean, 15 overall, but after he got fired, he refused to work. I mean, hey, why don't you go quit your job, or why don't you go get fired and I'll support you? And then, hey, here's an idea. I've known Holly for 2 days and I love her and she loves me. I'm going to have her move into the house with us, the 3 of us, and she can cook you dinner. I don't think so. I'm not going to support her. I'm not going to support him. And that was the end of it. This was pure insanity.
Well, yeah, we rally on that for sure. I did want to ask you about how Holly actually came into the picture. There's a lot of people that don't know how Holly actually came into the picture. So if you want to clarify that would be awesome.
She started Skyping with him, and by the end of the first or second day, they were in love. And he would constantly Skype her. He even Skyped her parents. But that was because he was telling them she was going to go through the hunt. But they had phone conversations that were keeping me up. I had to go to work. And they were keeping me up all night, and I was getting madder and madder because he had absolutely no consideration for my job, the person paying his bills. And I mean, I think the first month it was like an $800 phone bill. I mean, it was insane. It was insane. And then
$800 phone bill, that is ridiculous.
Yeah. That's all. Well, I'm working to support him. He's on the phone with her and other women too, but with her. And I mean, it was so hurtful. So I don't even know how to explain how you feel about yourself. And, he's telling me stuff like, oh, you're fat. Who would ever want to be with you? And just stuff like that. It's just every day something derogatory and negative. And, I pretty much believe his guts.
So I said I wasn't going to ask you anything like this, but it kind of falls in line with what we're talking about. the bodybuilding thing. Do you want to talk about that at all? If you don't, that's completely fine.
Well, he told me at one point that he's always been infatuated with female bodybuilders. And the bigger that they are, the better it is. So he told me that the only way he would marry me is if I was a bodybuilder. Well, I don't want to be a bodybuilder. I don't want to look like a dude. So, he wanted me to be at the gym all the time. Well, he wasn't going to the gym. He's like 9 months pregnant. I'm working full time. I'm commuting 3 hours a day. I'm running his DJ business. I'm working on the haunt. I'm cooking his meals. I'm cleaning. I'm taking care of 9 to 13 dogs at a time. I'm not going to go to the gym. But he would, that's why Holly was bodybuilding. I don't believe that she had an interest in bodybuilding before Russ. I don't believe that for a second.
No, she was strictly cost. Well, you know better than anybody what she was into before Russ. So
she's totally into BDSM, totally, and dress up and all that stuff. But he would spend hours watching female bodybuilding videos on the computer. And
I mean, to each their own. No shame to what you're into, but when you start trying to force that onto women that you're involved with, that's when it becomes the problem.
Yep. Well, the other thing is, he's extremely unhygienic. He wouldn't shower for a week. He wouldn't get off the couch for a week. He'd watch TV and talk on his phone to all kinds of women. He doesn't brush his teeth. He's just disgusting. I would come home and I'm like, you've got to take a shower. You reek. You're stinky ass, man.
If your wife has to tell you to take a shower, you have a fucking hygiene problem. I'm sorry.
It's terrible. And then also, like, in 15 years, not once did he cook a meal. Not once did he do a chore, run an errand, get groceries. Nothing. Absolutely did nothing. I had to do everything. So, the first video he posted after I left was of Holly, and she had made him dinner, and he made a big deal out of it. And I'm sitting there thinking, I fucking made you 3 meals a day for 15 years. What's so great about her making you one meal? And
people wonder why he was so ecstatic about Taco Tuesdays.
I don't know. He had a lot of tacos in San Diego, I'll say that. So, anyway.
So how much
Russ and Holly,
what all did you work on in San Diego prop-wise? What all did you keep? What all did he take? What all might he have in Tennessee? That type of stuff. Anything you can elaborate on?
He would be really angry with me if I didn't work on the haunt. He said I wasn't passionate enough about it and stuff. But, like I said, if I'm working 8 hours a day, commuting 3 hours a day, grocery shopping, taking care of dogs, running his business with his brides, dealing with all of them and doing the bridal timelines and all that, the last thing I want to do is go out in the backyard and work on the haunt. And he would be pissed, because I'm like trying to get by on 4 or 5 hours of sleep, maybe maximum, but he would be upset. So I used to do all of the decorating, like when it was a fun hunt, I did like all of the fabric on the walls to make it look like wallpaper. I mean, we're constantly out there, constantly shopping, going to swap meets and whatever, looking for stuff. And what did I take? Well, I did not take the drowning tank. I left that behind. I don't want that nasty ass thing. I didn't take the freezers that people peed in and vomited in that he never cleaned out. I didn't take those. I didn't take his stupid little rat maze. I didn't really take that much stuff because, the thing, his little pit of dirt, because mostly the stuff that he has was so poorly taken care of that it's trash. It's broken. It's rotted. And here's the other thing. He says that I stole it all. I want to make this perfectly clear. He made at least 10 or 12 trips to this house here in South Dakota himself and with his friends and brought boatloads of stuff here. Boatloads. Now, this is South Dakota. It gets to 40 below. He left all of his stuff outside. It rotted. It was full of rats and skunks. I had to have the fire department down the road come and haul it away because it was a health hazard. And it was ruined. It was destroyed. Now I packed all kinds of crates and stuff like that. He brought it here. I didn't bring it here. Like he says, I stole his parents' ashes. He brought those ashes here. He brought them, not me. So I left him his clothes. Computer, I left him but all the furniture, all of the furniture was mine. When I came into the relationship, I brought the furniture with me. So I don't know. I have the coffin. It does not work. I have some of the hanging bodies. Those are broken. It's pretty sad. I mean, the thousands of dollars. We did not put $100,000 into the haunt either, like he says. I don't know where he gets his numbers. Just like his fake 27,000 people in line. He has like 2 people in line. He's never had a waiting list. I don't know I don't know where I was.
First of all, I just want to say you are awesome as shit. Second of all, so is there anything that you want to go into to how he treats his moderators in San Diego, how he treated his actors there, why the actors departed, his interactions with female contestants, that type of stuff?
Well, I don't know. He's a sleazy little guy. He would go behind my back a lot and do stuff that I didn't know about, not just with women, but with his actors. I was constantly telling him he couldn't do things. Like at one point, he wanted to cover people's faces with saran wrap. And I mean, it's pretty obvious you can't do that. But, he would fight me on everything, constantly fight me on everything. It had to be his way or no way. The waiver, I actually had my boss draw up the waiver. It was a 1-page waiver.
And this is when you were working for the courthouse, right? Before the Russ and Holly bullshit, if you want to elaborate on that.
It was, yeah. Well, Russ and Holly got me fired because they wouldn't stop calling me at work. So that was my cue. She was supposed to be coming in like 3 or 4 days, and I just took off. I wasn't going to support her. I didn't have a job. I couldn't support her and him. I couldn't even support myself at that point, so... But anyway, I had my boss draw up a 1-page waiver. And this is back when it was a fun hunt. And it was kind of, we had a lot of kids going through the hunt. We had a lot of kids working in the hunt. And I wanted to make sure that the parents knew what their kids were going through. And it was a waiver that if you were under 18, you had to have your parents sign it as well. Your parents knew where you were, they knew what you were doing, and you couldn't go through without it. So
basically this waiver thing started out as a harmless thing to keep children from putting themselves in a situation without parents' consent, but it turned into a money draw.
Yeah, he started adding stuff to it. You know, when I left, I don't know how many pages it was when I left, 15, 16. I don't know where it became 40 pages. I don't know. But none of that, he doesn't do any of that stuff anyway. There's no nail pulling, there's no teeth pulling, there's nothing. There's nothing like that. You can't do that. There's drugs or Tic Tacs. I mean, it's just stupid bullshit stuff. There's no Vegas. That is a fake. He's always pointing up to some camera up on the ceiling, and those are those fake battery-operated cameras. There's no Vegas. There's no wire to Vegas. Nobody's going to invest in betting with him. There's nothing. Absolutely.
I mean, really.
Nothing.
Like, that was like a big talking point I wanted to come up with you about was the Vegas thing. Like, it makes no sense any way around. Like, first of all, how does it make money? So people are just betting how long these people last in a van. I mean, it makes no sense. It doesn't.
No, this is before it just went to strictly the van. When he actually took them through the haunt, he would say that Vegas was telling him what they wanted the contestants to do. And that never happened.
So basically, Vegas was Russ's inner voices in his head telling him what he wanted to look at tonight.
Right. So when it went to strictly the van, I was done. I didn't want anything to do with it anymore. I was horrified at what he was doing. So it wasn't fun anymore. And the constant editing, you know, I had to listen to the same thing over and over and over and over and over as he edited it. He spent hours doing it, and it's so peaceful here. It's wonderful.
So I know. God, I want to get as much out as I can so that we don't have to do this again.
No, I don't care if we do it again. That's fine.
Oh well, we might do a part 2 then. So I know one thing was what drew you to Russ in the first place? What caused you to spend all this money on him to fund this fetish? Where'd it come from?
Well, you know, I think, you know, when it started out, it was really fun. It was just Russ and I and the boy next door, and we had a lot of fun. It was fun. I mean, it was exciting and it was fun, and each year it grew. You guys are going to have to bear with us. We're having some technical issues.